Okay, so for those of you that are interested in doing a Zoom with us, please feel free to go to the description. And in the description, there will be a link there to my email. And you could just email me and I will add you to the Zoom. Or I'll invite you to the Zoom. And just a reminder that this is a space for us to talk about whatever. Doesn't have to be just only about spirituality, non-duality, twin flames. It could be just about anything. But anyways, let's get started, Monique.
Let's do it. Crazy day.
Has it been a crazy day?
Yeah, it's finally winding down, but it's good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just bought another condo. I mean, put in an offer. You know how that goes.
Oh,
Underway. Then I just signed all the paperwork, e-sign, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
oh, wow. I hope you get it.
I did, finally. She accepted my offer. Woo!
Was it what you wanted? Is it everything you wanted?
Almost. It's fine.
Okay,
It
you'll
will
have
be.
to show me. You'll have to show me. I'm interested in
Yeah,
seeing
it's
what it
cute.
looks like.
It's cute.
So is there anything that you would like to talk about? Or
Oh, I'm ready for a twin flame rehash.
uh,
I like that topic this week. Just because it's been a weird week,
it's so
with
funny.
twin flamey weird stuff. So, I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
In the
yeah.
story, the twin flame story, it's been weird.
What's been going on?
Just like think I might have told you, but we'll talk about it. Like the numbers been going crazy again. Like I keep seeing 4311, 4311, and the song that I always associated with my twin was 1,000 Years from Twilight. And literally last night, again, I woke up and it was like 3:33, and it came because I listened to Pandora all night on my
Yeah.
Alexa, and there it was. I was like, and that seriously must have been, and I mean, I have it like it's one of the songs that will eventually loop, but not like this. And it's just been, this has been weird. Like it seems like um I think because I'm really starting to not think about him anymore at all. And like I don't even remember if I thought about him today. Like because like I told you, it would come up like once a day. Nothing major, just a thought, a brief. And now that even that's starting to.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I get it a lot. I ever since I think um before mine reached out to me, I still get it a lot, like a lot. And I used to really like, not used to, I was like, well, I was kind of like, well, God, that's crazy how that all kind of coincided with one another. But then I'm getting it a lot. I've been getting a lot like every week. And there's no appearance of him.
Yeah.
But and that's when it's like, God, there's really just no telling how the fuck they will show up in your life.
Yeah.
It's that's the thing. It's like it is
It's
what it
true.
is, and but it's and there's no like reasoning or rhyme or reason why all those things appear to happen the way they do. But I tell you what, it's truly magical. Apparently, in the story,
It
it
is.
is so
I
magical.
mean, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
You
it
know,
is. It's cool to see those numbers every day and to see like, especially on when they appear constantly, and it's like so cool the way it's not like you're looking for it, at all. I mean, I
right?
remember when I was in the story, the whole twin flame journey thing, and I would be looking to see the clock. What was it? But now it's so you know what I mean? Like, oh, is it 11:11? Oh, the character really wanted to see those numbers, but like now it's just it shows up everywhere in any way possible. Like, and even the seconds on the microwave, you can look at it, and all of a sudden it's 11 seconds. It's just weird. It shows up in every way that it can. Um, and it doesn't mean anything, but it's just I think it's parent time marches on, and those things, the attachment to all that stuff falls away. It's still there's no magical feeling anymore attached to it, but for the person, but there's a cool like wow, cool. Oh, wow. It's not even like barely registered anymore, but it's just, you get so accustomed to it because it's so constant. You can't miss it. It can't be
Mm-hmm.
ignored. It's just, I did want to add one thing though, like that, for people who are still in the midst of the journey, who are still, missing their twin flame or having obsessive thoughts, or I remember thinking that, at least here, that I would never, and I had it bad. Like I cried for 15 months every day. I would have considered on the floor for at least a year. I don't know. I mean, I consider myself like one of the worst case scenarios as far as going through like the emotional, because a lot of people don't even, may not have that extreme emotional, whatever appearance of all that happening. I just want to say that I never thought that I would ever, 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 ever get over it. I never thought. I felt like that. It was so heavy and sad, and the heartbreak was a next level. But I'm here to say, if you are in that place where you think you will, and I never thought that that would happen here, that I would ever let go of the story or of him, the parent, other, self or whatever. And yeah, life goes on, and you think that you'll never get over that apparent person, but it happens, and it happens in such a way that it just will happen when it happens. And it's peaceful because, at least here, when it does finally appear to be really tapered off at the end, there's just a lot of self contentment and happiness, until something comes up. But here, at least, there's a lot of contentment and peace here, especially around that. Like there's no more suffering around the twin flame thing.
And
What do
and
you think?
even if the suffering appears to happen, or if there's no, if they're still at a place of not being over them, that's completely okay. That's just it. It's being okay with all of that coming up,
Right.
the suffering and not getting over them and blah blah blah, whatever. It's just being at a place of being okay with it, and
Yeah.
just knowing that that's just what's appearing to happen, and it will stop when it stops, and it will end when it ends. And you're just okay with it. You're
Yep.
okay, and that's where I'm at. Like, dude, I was just on mine. Well, so I I have three situations, that. And they all kind of coincide with one another. Somehow they follow pursuit, and I can't even, I don't, I would say that these are all three twin flame situations, but I don't know what a twin flame is anymore. Like, I know it's in the story, it's all this stuff. It's all different things, you can go to certain teachers, different ones, and they'll all say different things, right? About twin flames. But with me and what's coming up for me immediately, like in the story, I connected it right away with the twin flame thing. Cause each one of them, I've had similar experiences with them, right? And it's funny because when I go on the one's profile, the last one I've been dealing with, his profile, and I just went on it yesterday. What was it? Yeah, yesterday. 11/11. When I was looking at his picture, 11/11. Man, I wasn't even thinking of 11/11. I wasn't thinking of shit. I was just looking at his shit, and I look up and it said 11/11. But I'm just like, and it does all the time with him. But
Yeah.
but I don't ever, like, I see it and I'm just like, okay, you know what I mean? And then I'll just keep going, but because I'm just like, here we go, you know what I mean? It is what it is. And with the one, it's funny because before he showed up again, the other one was showing up a lot while the numbers and the names were showing up. Like, he was constantly popping up. Like, I'd open up my fucking Facebook and he was right there in my face. Or I've opened up other platforms and he'd be right there, or there's messages of him. Like, it was constantly happening. And then the numbers and all that stuff, the name and all that was really apparent. It was just in my face. And then boom, that one, the middle one, showed up. shortly after that. And
You
I
said
got,
that. That's crazy.
yeah,
But
it's weird. It was like I was, but, and it's happening again. I'm seeing him a lot. I'm seeing the name a lot and all this shit. It's all happening again. And I don't know what that means. And I don't know why it's even fucking happening, but it's all like with me, it's a magical thing for me. And the reason why, and I don't hold attachment to that word. It's just fairy tale-ish to me. It's just like something you see on a fucking movie or people write about. You know what I mean? You're just like,
but
wow.
it is, it's so yeah, like I get what you're saying, because like if someone, and it's not like there's, how do you put it without sounding like in the person, but if someone, sorry, my daughter, you can just search for me, thanks. Thanks. Thank you, I love you. But if someone were to follow you around all day with a camera, I mean, and see it, they would notice it. They'd be like, holy shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's, but it's not extraordinary. It doesn't feel that way, but at least here, but it's still noticed that
In the story, it's not
it's an
normal.
apparent phenomena that is,
Yeah.
you can't miss it.
It's not
You
normal in the
know?
story. In the story, it would be considered as abnormal because, I mean, in the
Right,
story,
right,
people normally don't go through shit like that, right?
right,
So you could
right.
really, people would want to make a movie about it because
Right.
it's so out of this world in the story that people would
It'd
be
be
like, God, this is movie shit.
it'd be interesting, I think, if somebody actually did a movie and
I would
called it
love
that.
to.
I think it'd be fun to watch, just because, you know, we've apparently had the experience. So it'd be like, wow, it'd be fun to watch it. I mean, there'd be no attachment to it, but it would still be
Oh
kind
my,
of cool.
it's fun to watch that. I like watching stuff like that, and I feel like
Yeah.
one day somebody's
Oh,
gonna
they
do a
will.
movie
They have
about
to.
this because it's already blown up.
And and then the characters would be seeing, looking at the clock, 11:11. They'd be looking at their watch. 11, all through the movie, you'd be seeing all the numbers and
Yeah,
signs, because that appears, man, like crazy. Um, you know, even, and you know, El Hari talks about that. She's like, you know, she's already done with the journey and already like gotten through all that stuff. But she did say, you still always will see the numbers, and she says, I still see them. She's like, every day. So they don't go away, apparently, for some. Um,
it
yeah.
was so funny because when I met Tawny, she was the one that brought. Like I said, I was talking about my guy to her, and she was talking about hers. And when I was expressing my situation, she just looked at me and she goes, "That's twin flame." And I was just like, well, what's that? And that's when she told me, well, just Google it. So when I Googled it, but she also told me at the same time, she was like, oh my God, I've been seeing 1111 everywhere and all this. To me, I didn't know what she was talking about. And then shortly after she said she was seeing 1111, that's when I started seeing 1010 everywhere. And I told her, I was like, I'm seeing 1010, Tawny, everywhere. And she was like, wow. She was like, yeah. She was like, because Tani isn't really like, Tani's kind of quiet, but then she does talk, I don't know, it's hard to express how she handled her situation. But then after 1010 was when I was starting to see 1111 and all the other numbers that followed through after that. And like I said, I didn't know anything about the numbers until the twin flame thingy. I had no idea. And then all of a sudden it came in like a fucking whirlpool. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then like the music, that's what happened first, was the music. Every time I would turn on the radio, the songs that would be playing, it would feel like like it was speaking to me, and it was him speaking to me through the music. And I never ever felt like this before about any of my breakups or anything, but that one particular breakup, every time I turn on a song, it would be a certain type of song that would hit my core. And it was like he was speaking to me through the fucking radio. Did you go
No,
through
yeah. I heard the songs, our
Even in your
songs.
mind too, would you hear random songs
Oh
play in
yeah.
your mind?
Like all the songs from A Star Is Born, Lady Gaga, and Bradley Cooper. That was our
Yeah.
movie. So all the songs from that soundtrack were just playing constantly. I'd hear it. I'm like, whoa, like especially the one that when he came back one of the two times, I said this song because we never had a song the 2 years we were together. We just never it never came up. But I told him, always remember us this way. I said, that's my song to you because we'd already apparently, this was one of the times when he came back and I said, whenever you hear this song, I want you to think of me because this is my song to you. We have a song and this is it. And so I still hear that song. And it's weird because it wasn't a huge hit, but it'll come on.
I'll hear random songs from songs that I don't even listen to play in my mind out of nowhere, like a song I would never even think to listen to. And then I'll have to go Google it and look it up and look up the lyrics and shit because I'm like, why? It's like a jukebox was playing in my mind or old songs that used to play when I was young. They would just randomly play in my mind. It was like through telepathy, somehow I was like, is this you? Like, are you doing this? What's fucking happening? This is the
Yeah.
shit that would go on. Or I would hear him. I don't know what the fuck this was, but it was my voice. But it was like he was talking to me. I could hear it talking to me, but it was my voice saying, it was him speaking because it sounded like his words and the things that he would say to me, but it was my voice speaking. I don't know if I'm making any sense to you, but they said they would call that like telepathy, like he was speaking through me through telepathy, but it was my voice I was hearing, but it was him.
Anything can appear to happen, like anything can appear. And people who have not been through the journey, I mean, are going to think we sound crazy, but like
Crazy.
if you've been through this apparent journey, then you will probably resonate because weird shit that you can't explain. And we've all like, I'm almost 60 years old. I've had plenty of relationships. I've had plenty of breakups. It's not like I'm like my first radio, the first guy that ever broke up with me, or the first man that I've ever, quote unquote, been in love with. This was different. And, a lot of teachers will say, if you met your twin, he was the catalyst to your spiritual awakening. I resonate with that because that's exactly when this shit happened after he left. All the crazy Kundalini, crazy telepathy, all the weird. I can't even describe the weird shit that happened. The night sweats,
I'm just
the
now it's coming to me as we're talking
same.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't
Because
even
I
describe
don't remember it.
things that happened, but never happened with any other breakup. And I wasn't having a nervous breakdown. It was truly remarkable, the strange things that happened. And it was the falling away of the person eventually. But there was a lot of suffering during that time. There was a lot of feeling like I I didn't have a purpose or like I was just life was meaningless. Like I didn't, you know, but I could feel what felt like at least the character could feel. Now it's a story, but like a purging. It just felt like a purging, and I don't know however else to put that. But now that's once realization happens, you see that everything is just what it was.
I
Not
remember
with
poor John, my friend. He had to watch me go through the whole fucking Dark Night of Soul, man, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is. But I was literally, I know he thought I was nuts. But bless his heart, he just sat and he would just listen to me for hours talking about this guy. And he would never ever complain. He would just kind of go along with it with me. And with the birds and shit, I mean, he can even this is so funny about the birds, but we would just be out walking around and like fucking so many packs of geese would fly over our head and circle around, and he's like, "What the fuck?"
you can't. It's so much weird shit happens, like weird shit, and people say, "Oh, you just think of the birds about." No, you
No.
feel it. You're like, no, this is because let me tell you a story that happened. This would have never happened. I know this would have never happened. So when I was going through this parent journey twin flame thing, every day on my lunch break, there's woods like where I used to work. So I had my meditation blanket, and every single day, like clockwork, I would go out into this little patch of woods and sit on my blanket and meditate. So one day I laid back on the blanket and I just had my eyes closed and I was in meditation and I thought I heard something. And I turned my head and a snake, a black snake, had come right up on my blanket.
See?
And I'm literally, it's like this. And it's coiled up now because I moved. And he's not doing it. He's not trying to bite me or anything. Just a black racer. And I looked at it and I go, "Hey, buddy, everything okay?" I mean, what could I do? I was like, if I freak out or anything's gonna bite the shit out of me. So I was like, "Hey, buddy." I talked to it in quiet tones. "Everything okay?" And he just went like this, and off he went. And I started laughing because I'm like, this little forest critter came right up on my ass and didn't even like care. And then another time I'm out there and like the squirrel came to the end of my blanket, like he came right there. And then I laid my head back and there was a raccoon in the tree right above me, sprawled across the limbs with his face looking right down on me. I have pictures of it in my phone
Oh, I
because I
love
look up at him
squirrels.
and I'm like, go, he's only literally 10 feet from my face. I'm like, "Hey there." Like, but weird things like that where
Like that
animals
don't
seem,
happen normally.
yeah, animals seem less
Yeah.
afraid. They
Yeah, it's
do. I don't know what that is. I don't know if you've
yeah.
experienced that, but like
Yeah, yeah.
animals
No.
seem less afraid now. They feel the energetically, they don't feel all that fear-based energy or whatever. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. That's the person trying to
Because
explain it.
there's no more separation. We're not looking at
Yeah,
them as being separate. We're not identifying as them as being birds and
right.
snakes and stuff. We're just being. So
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I don't know really. I
I
don't
don't
know.
either, but they don't seem to be afraid of me, and I'm not afraid. There's no fear of them either. Like before, the character would have screamed her head off if that freaking snake came up. But it was like it was before
Well,
realization. But I wasn't afraid. I was
they
like,
fear people
"Hey."
because people look at them as being separate. They look at them as different as them. So
Yeah,
that's that. I don't know if that's why they fear us or what, but with us, it's like we don't identify with anything anymore. So it's like it is what it is for us, and there's no more separation. There's nothing, and
and neither do they. The animals
yeah,
don't think like us. They're just always being.
being
If you ask a dog what time it is, he'll say it's now. It's always now.
now,
And that's
yeah.
an Eckhart Tolle quote, but it's true. Like animals don't have this story that keeps going in their head.
They don't know what any of that is.
No, they're just being.
It's so funny. My friend, the guy I used to work with, he used to see me walking. I used to go walking out in nature at my job on the campus because it was a huge, big campus. It was historical. The mental institution that I worked at was a huge, old, historical building, built in the 1800s. I mean, it was old.
Right.
So I go walking around and shit, and and the birds would just, like flock to me and my friend, Tawny would just flock to us, and the dragonflies would literally land on our heads. It was like we were in a Disney movie. So my homeboy came walking outside, and he was like, "Hey, shit, you still out there talking to the birds?" I was like, he was like, "I'm just asking."
True. The
Huh?
blue jays in the woods where I used to meditate, the blue jays would come like literally right next to me. And I just look at them
Right?
and I'd be like, "Hi." And they weren't
Hummingbirds
afraid.
too.
They weren't afraid.
Nope.
It was cardinals and blue jays and even those big woodpeckers. They would fly right up in the tree, and buzzards, all kinds of weird stuff
Oh yeah.
that would normally never come land right next to a person. I was like, it was amazing, but I didn't feel like this, like, "Oh wow, come here, let me touch you" feeling. It was just like peaceful, like, "Oh wow, hi," like, "Hi,"
It's
it's
like
like
they sensed.
like
They
it was
sensed
that
it was
they
the
weren't
beginning of the
separate.
yeah. There's a sense that it's like the beginning of we were starting to wake up, is what it
Yeah,
was. We were waking up. We weren't all the way there, whatever you want to call that, but we were waking up. And maybe they sensed that.
yeah,
My
maybe.
parakeet that's right here looking at me, standing there looking at me, landed on my deck. Now, most parakeets will run off if you try
Yeah,
to come near it. This one flew on my finger, and I bought it a cage and stuff, but it was somebody's pet. I don't know, but he wasn't afraid of me at all. he landed right on my finger, and I've had him ever since. But that was during my awakening. That was during my awakening. And yeah, like crows were my main thing. The crows were like, they were talking to me. Like they would sit on a damn pole and look at me with their head doing this. You know, I'm just like, is this really happening? Like, what the fuck is going on? It was just, and my friend, I had my two girls that I'd walk with, or we just had that connection, me, Tawny, and Shantae. It was the three of us. It was always the three of us. And we all experienced the same things like we do, the same time. And the birds, everything grabbing, it was just crazy. And I'll never forget that. It was the most magical time of my life, but I'll never forget it. And then it keeps going, you know?
You're gonna laugh. I'm gonna tell you something. This I had that same experience when I was a little girl with a parakeet that flew right onto my shoulder off the fence
Oh,
in
wow.
Ohio. And I was probably about 7. I went up to it and it just flitted right here. And I went inside and I had him till he died, probably 3 or 4 years. I don't know. A little blue one with the
Yeah, mine's
yeah,
is blue. He's blue.
yeah,
I've had him for about 3 years. I hope he doesn't croak
yeah.
over. Shit,
I
I don't
hope.
know how to handle that.
But isn't that crazy? Same thing. Like, isn't that weird
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it is weird.
that we have parakeet stories, matching
I know.
parakeets?
I don't even know
Right.
what to name him. He don't even have a name. I didn't even know how to name him. I don't know.
Or well,
Nothing
he's
came
not
to me.
whatever you are, little pretty thing.
I know. So my thing was that I wanted to talk about, you know, how a lot of there's always a lot of questions from a lot of twin flame that from the twin flame community or people that are on the journey apparently. Will my twin ever come back? Will they ever come back? And that's just it. There isn't a knowing. You'll never know. And it doesn't matter what you do. You can go and get healing work done. That's fine. I mean, but it is just a tool. It's not going to bring the twin closer. I mean, the twin may come closer while you're healing. It may come back while you're healing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's why they came back. It's because you were healing. It's just when they decided to show up, you know, even with what the lady was talking about that I'm bad with names, but how she was saying, like, I was trying to, me and Yasmin were just talking about this on the Zoom. I was saying how she said that when you're focusing on your twin and you're yearning and obsessing and blah, 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 because apparently you share the same energy frequency, right? You're focusing on them. You're supposed to sharing the same energy. You're focusing on them. So when you're focusing on them, they're focusing on everything else but you.
Yeah,
They're focusing outward like you're focusing outward.
right.
So, but once you get to a place with being okay with focusing on them and obsessing over them, there's not that fear energy there anymore. It kind of like, it doesn't bring them, but it kind of, there's no more
It
of,
neutralizes that
yeah, it
that fear
neutralizes
base
it.
stuff.
But the thing is Yasmin's like, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come back to you. And I said,
It
you're
doesn't.
absolutely right. It doesn't, but it just, they're just there. And apparently, if they do come back to you, it's just to show you that, you know,
Hey, you're. Well, here's the thing.
you're this neutrality happening right now, you know?
Yeah, if you're focusing on them, that's not the reason you had that apparent catalyst. It's not about getting your twin flame back. That's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning or letting go, like being in love with yourself and not as a person, just being in love, living in love, what you naturally are,
Mm-hmm.
experiencing everything that comes up in a state of unconditional love. And unconditional love includes hatred, anger, frustration, but it also includes joy and happiness and peace. It's everything. But anytime you think that you have to have something outside of you to make you happy, that's a bad, I'm not going to say bad. That road will lead to suffering. You don't need anything, person, object, anything outside of you because you all already everything you could ever want to be. It's just, and when the person falls away, you'll see it. You're already everything. You're already that. You
Well,
don't
once
need
you
it.
realize there's nothing outside of yourself, anyways, you know, you're already it,
Yep,
you know?
exactly. You're already everything you could ever want. I think that's a Rumi, a quote from Rumi, the poet. He said that everything you could ever want, you already are. And I like that because that makes sense now. Didn't make sense to the person.
Well, there's this one lady I used to follow. She's very, when she talks about twin flames, it's the story. I mean, it really is the story. But I sometimes like listening to her. But she said, your twin never gives you what you want or need. It gives you what you are,
Yep.
what you already are.
Yeah.
So I always kind of resonated with that. But there's no telling. There's no telling how and when the twin flame will ever show up. So to do all the healing and all that shit and trying to balance out your energies and all that stuff, to me, there's no control over that happening. Like the person becoming neutral, it will happen on its own.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's no forcing it. There's no controlling it. It will just happen
Nothing
on
you
its own.
can do. Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing you, because there is no you to do. But I can tell you this, I don't care. And it's finally there. And I don't mean it like I don't care. I don't care if I ever see that apparent other ever again. I don't care. If he shows up, great. If he doesn't show up, great. It doesn't
Exactly.
matter anymore. And
Doesn't matter.
that's not a goal to get to, but that's what eventually appears to happen. Well, you're just free of it. And that, man, I love that because I felt like I was in prison during that journey, but apparently everything happened just the way it needed to. And now I can see it for the beauty that was in it. And I'm grateful for it
Mhm.
because I don't want to ever be in that character the way I was in that personhood. I would not want to be that anymore. I'm glad that's gone. That's the huge blessing.
You
But
know,
it doesn't matter if you're in it or not, everything's fine. It's just that when you have realization, I think for some, I don't know for everyone, but I can only speak for here, is there's a gratitude here for it. Like, yes, thank God that happened, or thank whoever. That's just
there's
a catchphrase, but
there's so many twin flame people out there that are so hard on themselves about focusing on their twin and stuff. And that's where I went wrong. Like I really felt awful for making him my focus. And had I had been okay with that and just allowed myself to just be okay, it probably wouldn't have been as hard for me, but things happen the way they happen. But I just want to let people know that you focusing on your twin flame, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just being okay with you focusing on it. Like be your authentic, natural self. Like that is authentic. You know what I
one
mean? You're being authentic just by being you and being okay with thinking about them all the time or yearning them or whatever. You're being naturally yourself. And you you get into a place of being neutral will happen when it happens. It will just naturally kind of fall into place.
I think there's peace in allowing, like you said, allowing everything to be as it
Yeah.
is. When you resist, you create suffering, and that's okay. But what you resist persists. I like that because I do believe, at least here, that seemed to be the case when I wasn't allowing, and that's okay too. It was just notice that I was resisting, and when I would let the resistance go and allow everything to just flow, I felt better.
Hmm.
Like there was a lot more peace um in that.
And even if feeling better does appear, feeling not feeling well, even feeling not feeling good, if that even appears to happen, then that's okay because that's just what's happening. And if you're okay with not feeling better, you got to be okay with whatever's coming up, you
Yeah.
know,
And if
because
you're not, that's okay too.
yeah, and that's yeah. There's no rules. That's just it. There's
Yeah.
no rules here. Everything is completely okay. It's
Yeah.
it's organic. It's
Yeah.
naturally who you are, and there ain't no who you are, but you're just naturally being you, authentic. And I think
Right.
that that's but and like people think that there's a certain process that you have to go through and levels and stuff. There's no process. There's no levels that you have to reach to
Mm.
get to that neutrality. it, like I said, it just happens when it happens.
Yeah. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Don't worry. Try not to like beat yourself up. I was right where you were before, Shannon. Same thing. Every time,
Yeah.
in the beginning, I would look at his Facebook or whatever, and then I would hate myself for looking at
See, now
it.
I don't care. If I'm looking at it,
Yeah.
I just look
Oh,
at
I
it.
could look at it. I don't want to, but if I wanted to,
You
I
know?
could. If
Yeah.
it comes, I would. I just don't care. I just don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care enough about what he's doing to even look.
Yeah.
Because finally, thank God, I can't believe I can actually say that and believe it and mean it or feel it, resonate with what I just said. Like I don't care. I don't care what he does. I just
Hmm.
don't care. Good luck though. I mean, if he's happy, good for him, whatever, whatever he's doing, do you, bud. It serves
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I think it's whatever's coming up. There's be times where I haven't thought about him in a long time. And then all of a sudden I'll be curious and go check to see what he's been doing, check him out. But it's not, the obsession's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And even if it was, that would be okay.
That would
But
be okay
it's
too,
just
because
not
that
there. It's
it
gone.
goes
I
when it
think
goes.
because I allowed it to go. I think because I was okay with being obsessive and all that shit. Once allowed myself just to be okay with everything, it fell off on its own. It just went away.
Yeah. It just appears to take time. It appears to be a process, but it's when realization appears to happen too, it's seen that it was just all nothing anyway. And
I
that's okay.
know.
It's so cool. Like you're just like, oh, that was nothing. But it's a fun story. It really is a fun story. And it did appear to happen to a character um in this illusion or whatever. So yeah, it's cool. I mean,
Did
it's what
you
a cool.
ever feel like I know a lot of people on the twin flame journey, they used to be like, oh my God, I can feel him. I can feel him. He must be upset right now. He must be mad or angry. Did you ever go through that?
Oh my God. I felt like one time I could have sworn that I could feel that he was having sex with the girl. I was like, I know he is. I can feel it right now. He's having sex with her. I just know. And it was just so stupid. I look back at it now, but I had convinced myself that somehow I knew that was happening right then and there. And I just had this overwhelming feeling like I knew it was true. It's like, oh, I'm gonna write this date down. Then I'm gonna ask him if he calls me. Were you having sex on October whatever it
Oh
was?
my God. Mine
back in
was
the
the
back
mine was
then?
the opposite. I could feel the energy of him near me, like come into my room. I could feel that in the story. I could feel him laying on my bed. I could feel him. Well, yeah, I could
A
feel
lot
all that shit.
a lot of people when they're going through the journey initially say that they
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought that too. Like I could feel like he was his I don't know. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was real. I'll never know. And now I don't care anymore. But yeah, I had
right.
that that same kind of weird. And I don't know if that was from reading Twin Flame stuff and I got it in my head somehow, but I don't know. But I did, I mean, when before he left the last time, when he came back 2 times, there was telepathy. I knew there was 2 times he called, but I absolutely knew he was going to call me without, I knew it. I walked out to my car and waited for my phone to ring and it did. I just knew it was that strong.
See, and now we don't even know what if it's
What
called
that was
telepathy, but apparently something was going on in the story.
energetically.
It was. I mean, I get what you're saying. We're about a minute in and that's it.
Okay.
But it was fun talking. I love that. We have to do this
Fun.
again. I'm just gonna randomly do it now. Like if I right after I get off of work or something, I was like, well, let's do a Zoom. But yeah, it's
Okay.
about to shut off. But
Okay.
anyways, I will talk to you
Fun.
soon.
Okay. Love ya.
All right, love you too. Bye bye.
Bye.